This is a scary place when it gets dark. People get drunk and fight all the time. I do not go outside at night because I don't know what would happen.
Sponsor ko po si Ali and Nancy.
Even though I live in this place, I have been sponsored for 14 years by Arlie and Nancy. I call them Mom and Dad.
Mom and Dad.
Although we are countries apart, I know they chose me. They tell me, Eunice, we remember you. We love you. You are like our own daughter. Because of my sponsors, I had the opportunity to go to the compassion program at the church in my neighborhood. For all these years, my sponsors and my church have helped me to receive better food and medicine. With the help of my sponsors, I will be able to work, to help my own family. When I was 9, my compassion teacher shared Jesus with us, and that's when I accepted Christ. Even though I am poor, He has provided my church. He gave me sponsors who love me. God will never leave us. I want to share everything I have learned with kids who are like me. Other children who need sponsors because they also experience poverty. I want them to feel the joy of having a sponsor, to get a letter that says, I love you, you are special to me. With the help of our sponsors, we can grow up and finish our studies and learn how to live our faith in Jesus. I want to serve the Lord, and I won't stop serving Him because He does not stop loving me and taking care of me and my family.
There are children around the world waiting for a sponsor like you.
Like you.
Release a child from poverty in Jesus' name.
In Jesus' name. A child is waiting for you.
Our church has partnered with Compassion International and Evangelical Interdenominational Ministry that is freeing children from poverty in the poorest nations of the world. If you're not familiar with how that works, Christian families like yours and mine invest $38 a month to sponsor a particular child in one of these countries. And through the local church in their own community, they are provided with spiritual nurture and training, educational assistance, medical help, and most of all, the love of God. And the letters that the sponsors exchange with their children literally are life transforming. I have for several years sponsored a little guy in Tegucigalpa, Honduras, named Fernando, and he truly has become like part of our family along with our other compassion children. And I'm blessed to lead a team each year from our church that goes to Honduras. And those of us who have the privilege of going, and if you sponsor children, I hope you can go with us one year, we get to see our children and be in their churches and be in their homes and understand what a life-transforming relationship this is. Other than my tithe to this local church, the $38 that I spend each month is the best investment I could ever make. It's far more important than the money I spend at Starbucks on overpriced coffee. It's more important than the subscription to the Houston Chronicle that I still get and read it on actual paper. It's more important than the iTunes subscription that I have or whatever other unnecessary item I might spend some of my money on. what this means to Fernando and his family is so much more important. Lives truly are changed. And today you're going to hear from a former Compassion child. You saw him on stage leading us in worship in the beautiful language of Spanish. And this former Compassion child's life was transformed by the ministry of Compassion International and his sponsor. I want you to hear his story. Welcome back to the Magnolia First Stage, Samuel Orlando.
Thank you. God bless you. Thank you again, Pastor C, and this beautiful church, a beautiful heart. And thank you for allowing me to worship with you in Spanish. I don't know if you don't know this, Spanish is the language in heaven, so start learning. Well, it's just a joke, but that's my hope. I believe it. Anyways, I would like to share a little bit about my story. Would you like to hear? Yes, amen. Well, remember this afternoon in DR, my mom and I had to move to the east of the country, and we have to live with my uncle, and that's because we couldn't afford a place to live. And that afternoon, he came from his job, and his children and I, like every day, we used to go running towards him, yelling, "Daddy, Daddy, Daddy's here!" So excited. I used to call him Daddy, but he was just my uncle. And that day, one of my cousins stopped me and told me, "Samuel, stop calling him Dad because he's not your dad. Your dad is dead." And they used to tell me that many times. They used to remind me that my dad was dead, that he was not my dad. But that day I went crying to my mother, and I asked my mother, "Mommy, why did God take away my father? Why did my father abandon us?" That's how I felt. My father was only 25 years old when he passed away. Passed away out of liver cancer, and I was only 6 months when he passed away. My mom was a 23-year-old young lady. No education, no way to survive. Our church was very small, but he had just started. So because of the absence of my father and the presence of something I call monster, the monster of poverty, I was destined to struggle in life. And that's because in the Dominican Republic and any other third world country, father means two things. It means provision and it means protection. At the age of 5, I was on the streets, cornbread, fighting against poverty. And the kids used to come to me and laugh at me and say, "You're just a cornbread seller. You're good for nothing." And when we talk about poverty, people may think, well, poverty means here in the U.S., maybe not. If you don't own an iPhone, you're poor. If you make the minimum wage, you're poor. If you don't own a house, you're poor. That's what poverty means. But poverty for my mother and I didn't mean none of that. Poverty for my mother and I meant that we were not sure if we were going to have breakfast in the morning, lunch or dinner. That was poverty to us. Poverty to me was that, going to the streets and start working at the age of 5, dealing with people on the streets and seeing the craziness happening on the streets.